welcome to HistoricHole. My name is David, and as always, I'm joined by Jason and Michael.
Bonjour.
Also bonjour. And we here at HistoricHole, we take a funny look at people, history, sometimes events, sometimes like specific days. But we've been doing a lot of people lately. For instance, today.
Today we're talking about a little French girl named Joan of Arc.
Draw me like one.
Named Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
Kind of a sweet name.
Joan, but we're going to go with Joan.
Yeah. Bonjour.
Don't really know when she was born other than the year was 1412.
So we kind of know when she was born.
In a little... What month and day that time?
Oh, okay.
Those things. Don't know. In a little village called Domremy. Yes.
Everything's
This is going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh.
Her father was Jacques d'Arc.
Of course he was.
Color me jocked. His name
He
is
had,
Jock.
he had himself a 50-acre slab of land and just had crops and livestock.
Wine crops, I imagine, just making wine.
He ate frogs and cooked croissants.
Yes.
Cooked, baked.
He was a croissant cooker, as you see.
But he was
Croissant
also a village official collecting taxes
He was a
and
village.
head of the local watch. Her mother was Isabelle Romay.
Watch of what?
Yeah, the
His
nerds
50
watch.
acres?
The Knights watch.
No, in the nearby town.
Oh,
In a nearby town, yeah.
so the
He had,
wa-
like the town watch and whatnot,
Well, he was pretty far away to be watching anything.
right?
So,
Well, yeah, I'm sure he made trips to town and made sure everything was kosher in the villages and whatnot. But the mother, Isabel, she was quite religious and,
As a lot of people were back then.
yeah, made sure Joan grew up very religious. And over time, she was illiterate, didn't know how to read or write, but she was an excellent seamstress. Worked the farm, and she was quite a friendly little girl.
Yeah, you got to be good at something.
Yeah, up until 13, when she had a vision of the Archangel Michael and Saint Catherine.
so we're really jumping into it fast and just like skip the 13.
Well, she's
she
just
couldn't even-
working the farm.
Yeah,
she's not
she's
doing
seamstress.
it. Yeah, she's learning how to sew.
It's like we could watch that part of the movie, the prologue. It's like where she just sews shit at night and then just tills the fields at day. No, we go straight to the...
Well, surely this, made her strong and capable,
Yeah.
strapping young lady.
True. Tilling, yeah.
Tilling the fields.
Or whatever they were doing. Whatever he was
milking
growing.
the cows or whatever.
It's a farm. There's
Yeah.
always cows.
Of course. What
Especially-
is a farm if not a cow house?
Anywho, 13, she has crazy visions of St. Catherine and
Saint Cow.
St. Margaret and our Archangel Michael.
Yep.
And they basically just told her, hey,
Me.
you're doing a good job. Stay religious, be pious, be a good little girl, and everything will be okay.
That's a crappy vision.
Yeah. And,
Just like, hey, just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, they were wrong.
yeah. Well, she keeps doing what she's doing. She's doing a great job. And then 16, the voices in her head tell her to, why don't you go make this guy king? Because at this time, we're in the sort of middle of the 100 Years' War between Britain and France.
Sort of in the middle.
Is there more specifics to it other than go make this guy king?
Well, that's what I'm getting into.
Go
Because
make this guy king. The end.
at the time, Britain
Shortest episode
and their
ever.
French allies, the Burgundians, controlled most of northern France, and southern France was sort of kingless. There was a guy
Croissant.
called the Dauphin.
He is called the Dolphin.
There's absolute anarchy. People were just living their lives with no one extorting them for money.
Having farms, just raising their family. There was no need to read or write because simply life was happening.
Well, see, they were living under British rule because at the time Britain controlled France.
So it was a tea farm.
But because several other people died, everyone thought, well,
Local officials.
maybe French people should have a French king. And there was this kid named Charles VII. who wasn't king yet, so he didn't have the number.
Yeah, I was about to say it was like birth name, Charles VII.
Valois, something like
So
that.
that's who she
Voila.
got told to make king.
Yeah,
Charles VII.
yeah, an actual Frenchman to lead France.
Yeah.
And the voices told her to visit Chinon, where the royal court was, and to meet little Charlie, and make him king.
Little Charlie.
Yeah, how old was little Charlie? 7. Was he 7?
I think he was like 10 years older than her.
10 years older than her.
Yeah, so little Charlie.
26.
Yeah, something around there.
Little Charlie and even littler Joan of Arc. I mean, Joan, I guess. Not of Arc yet.
So that's at 16 when the voices start telling her to do that.
Some call that puberty.
So she goes to a
Some call it dementia.
she goes to a
Or
nearby town.
schizophrenia, I guess.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
there is some historians who think she was just schizophrenic.
Sometimes you just have a nice cocktail of the two of them. Your brain just doesn't work. You can't read or write.
Yeah, who knows?
So she goes to the nearby town of Voncouleur, where she meets a garrison commander, Robert de Baudricourt,
Oui.
and asks her for a royal guard to help her go to Chinon to meet the king. And he's just like, yeah, go fuck yourself. You're crazy.
I'll give you my
go.
wee-wee.
You go away. Go away.
No.
No.
No, we don't do that here. So she goes back home where Jacques decides, hey, you're getting married. And she doesn't like that at all.
Jacques laying down the law.
He's like, you're making too much trouble. I don't want to be anywhere associated with you anymore. I'm marrying you off.
Wow. Must have been pretty convenient.
To be fair, she's like running around trying to like get like army garrisons. Like, you know what? Did my best. Shock Law.
She
Jacques Law Van Damme. God damn it. Shoot me.
she declines. And says, I've taken a vow of chastity. You can't make me get married.
Yeah, were you allowed to do that?
Well, she
Well,
did.
she did it.
Yeah.
She laid down the law.
All these other ladies married throughout there, like, we could have declined.
Yeah, it's just you gotta come back at them with like even more religion. You gotta like up the ante on him.
Slap the
Whatever.
Bible down, bookmarked. See what this says? Says I can't, and I won't.
And then she starts telling them about the visions. And then that's another reason why she can't get married.
Ugh.
And word starts spreading.
Jacques just like, no, there's no way somebody's gonna take you in.
Yep. The insanity plea. It's worked before.
Word starts spreading about her.
Not fit for trial.
Unfit.
Unfit for trial.
Yeah, you're out of shape. You can't show up to trial until you've been in jail for a little bit lifting weights. See how buff they get?
Word starts spreading about this little girl who's seeing visions of a French king. And that starts to piss off the British because they're like, no, that's our land. And we just dealt with a French king. We don't want another one popping back up. So screw this bitch.
They're probably like, we can't deal with a morale booster going on, running around out there talking about French kings. Can't be having that.
Exactly. So she actually starts building a little cult following because apparently there's some other prophecy about a French girl from a certain river valley bringing France back to the French people.
Of course, you don't know the prophecy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it sounds like it's kind of important why people would be like, let's follow this little girl who knows nothing and can't even read or write.
Nope.
No, she's just a morale booster, man. She's a good cheerleader.
I mean,
There must have been
prophecies
nothing.
are vague.
yeah, on purpose.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, what I said was the prophecy,
Yeah.
except for the name of the river valley, which actually comes up later. So,
Oh, well, that sounds
We'll get
important.
yeah. It was like Lori.
Wait a minute, that's what it says. She's like, yeah.
But anyway, she goes back to the garrison commander, Robert. Is like, hey,
Remember me.
seriously, take me to Chinon, and I will.
Robert. Just start calling them by their anglicized names. No, I'll call them by the anglicized name. You just keep going.
Yeah, you keep doing what you want. You embarrass yourself, you Neanderthal.
So
Let's call him Roberto. Let's just go to like Spain. Make everyone Spanish.
she starts telling Robert to convince him of her divine intuition.
Did anyone have anything else to do other than to talk to this little girl?
Well, they're guarding the city against the British, and she said that the British were actually about to win a battle near Orleans. And he's just like, whatever. And then reports come in days later about the French losing a battle near Orleans. And he's like, all right, well, let's go.
I prefer New Orleans.
He agrees. 6 troops he sends with her to Chinon to meet the king.
Just 6.
Yeah. Doesn't want to waste too much manpower.
It just said 6 troops.
Yeah.
Are they even troops? Can you even say troops if it's just 6 dudes? It's more like a squad.
Right?
Yeah.
Now they're
It's a squad.
We're sending troops. 6 dudes.
We're sending backup.
We are the backup.
The reinforcements.
To be fair, these 6 dudes were like the squadron that was hired to take down, the Predator. It's like these guys.
The Green Berets, they're elite.
Whatever they have in France.
Hey, beret, that's a French word.
They're not even going to say it.
Now they're traveling through enemy territory to get to the king. So she decides, I'm going to cut my hair. Doesn't want to be looking like a lady around enemies because of, soldiers will want to do to random women.
Dude looks like a lady.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like the opposite of the Aerosmith song.
So she cuts her hair.
Lady look like a dude.
It doesn't work as well.
I know. That's why they wrote the song the opposite way. We're not musicians.
So she cut her hair, starts wearing armor and men's clothing, and they journey forth to Chinon with little to no. I don't know what the fucking
Was
word.
that song about
What?
David Lee Roth?
Maybe.
I can't remember.
Say it is.
They got through safely, basically.
Oh, you're thinking safely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything went all right.
Yeah, everything.
Everything worked out.
Didn't
Moving
everyone
on.
have beards back then, though? It's like, man, this dude could have.
Well, not the French. Not the French.
Oh, that's true.
Clean shaven.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's true.
The French have
Coiffed
something
hair.
called dignity.
Well, they don't shave their armpits.
Well,
Just
not
their
that
face.
much dignity. Not that kind of.
Hey,
Now,
I don't either.
Charlie's heard about this girl through just whispers
Chuck.
around the court, and so he wants to test her
Chuck 7.
abilities,
I shall trade you.
and decides to play a little trick on her. Put someone else on the throne because she's never met him. They've
wanna
never
play a
met
game.
before, so he's just going to hide out in the crowd and put some rando on the throne, saying that's Charles. He's the guy you want to crown. But when she gets there, beelines.
Well, crown them. Sorry.
She beelines right towards the real Charles. He's just like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's neat. And then they have a...
That's quite neat.
Yeah.
I'm starting to believe her.
Yeah. He's starting to believe. And then they have a private meeting.
It's like a good Dodge Scripture.
And that's the only thing recorded. Nothing about what they talked about, just the fact that they had a private meeting. And as soon as they came out of that private meeting, he's just like, she is the greatest. She's going to war. For me.
Just me.
Yeah.
So it's a private meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was
No
like,
one else in attendance.
Yep, it was wee.
But
Chastity didn't exist in that room.
it was God's will.
Sometimes you can put God will put like
Nah.
a spell around a room and be like, whatever happens in here, it doesn't count.
She must have been the real deal.
Well, his clerical advisors weren't too sold on it. So
Those guys probably like this. We're the clear.
Well, yeah, the guys counting their money over in the corner, just like, wait a second.
wearing their
oh,
robes.
clergy. That's what I meant. Not clerical, clergy. The clergy advisors.
So they're over there in the corner counting
Doing
their
the
money.
same thing. I'm like, yeah, like it's still about the same. They're just their clothes changed. They're in the different corner of the church. Counting money.
and counting their money, being like, man, this bitch is giving people hope, and she's not even getting paid for it.
Yeah, I'm like all the pence.
What the hell?
Right. And
All the pounds
what's
we've
she
cut
doing?
out of the jar.
It's like, hey, come on. You're supposed to slow drip, microdose them with the hope. You can't give them it all at once.
It's too much hope.
So they started testing her on her faith, just to make sure she wasn't a heretic or a sorceress.
Oh, as one is wont to do.
Yeah.
What is that test?
Oh, they just asked you a bunch of religious questions. And if you answer yes or no in a certain way, damnation. But
It's basically good cop, bad cop, spiritual good cop, bad cop.
Good clergy, bad clergy.
Good priest, bad priest.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. You don't want that.
she passes, and they declared her to be of irreproachable life, a good Christian, possessed of the virtues of humility, honesty, and simplicity.
The virtues. The virtues.
Virtues.
Dude.
The virtues.
Dude, I'm telling you, she's a real deal. She convinced fucking greedy ass
Well, you haven't convinced me
corrupt
yet.
clergymen that she was legit.
Yeah, this sound people. If you learned anything from historical, everyone was full of shit and knew what they were doing.
Jacques,
if they're getting convinced.
Well,
Jacques was in the background just paying everyone off. Just go along with
I just want her out of my life.
it. Keep her distracted.
Keep her.
The final test, though, was what she had been prophesizing was that if she went to Orleans, she could lift the siege that the British had put on the city. And they were like, we're calling you on that. And so off you go.
It's like, yeah, we can just ask you about Bible verses, but, smash cut to the seas.
We try and use these powers for something useful here.
Everything's on fire.
So April 29th, 1429, she arrives at
So close to being a cool date.
Orleans, where, everyone sort of heard about her by now.
Yeah, no one had anything else to talk about. It's like you hear about that girl.
She's hearing voices.
She had notoriety. She had clout.
But not enough
She had repute.
for the,
Irreputable repute.
but not enough for the,
Irreproachable repute.
but not enough for the battle commanders to let them in on the meeting, let her in on the meetings. They were just like, you're just
a little
eye
girl.
candy.
You're a fucking 16-year-old.
Yeah, probably wearing
Possibly
like armor
17,
that like was way too big for her, and they're just like got scars like all over their bodies, missing fingers, So this is why I saw my vision. It's like, all right, Joan.
well, even though they didn't want her there, she still snuck in half the time.
She was so tiny.
And then they started moving forward because all of the French troops were emboldened with her presence.
Well, yeah, she's a morale booster again.
And maybe
Fucking
God was
mascot.
literally just using her as like a vessel, and everyone's like, I feel the spirit of our creator.
So they started.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the real deal.
Yeah, it's the real deal.
So the French army started moving forward and starting taking castles, one by one, inching towards Orleans,
One by one,
where they eventually
take a castle.
find an English fortress called the Augustines.
Yeah.
What kind of name is that?
Well, it's Les Augustines, but I didn't want to say it in French. So the Augustines.
Well, that was the one you probably should have said, Le Augustine. The
Probably
fortress.
the easiest one you could have
Yeah,
said.
and first of all, that. Second of all, like it's a fort. You can't just call it. It's the Augustine. It's like a hotel. It's
Yeah,
a
right.
fort.
Well, French people,
Call it Fort Augustine.
anything's a hotel.
Anything's a hotel in France. What is that? Eiffel Tower Hotel.
It makes sense, though.
So
I understood it.
There's croissants everywhere. It did. Makes sense.
Well, there's croissants in every building in France, I imagine.
That's what I imagine. Every building's a hotel.
It's like if they're not making the croissants in the building, those croissants are moved to that building at some point. There's just croissant delivery, man. There's a whole economy.
There's like drones flying over above just
Dude,
dropping
if
croissants.
they stop making croissants, dude, the world economy.
You want to see the second French Revolution?
So, while
That's why Emmanuel Macron got smacked today.
I know, right? He was just like, "Where's my croissant?" That was a really, speaking of which, that was a really, like, if you're gonna get your
It looks
ass beat
fake.
anyway.
It looks
Exactly.
fake.
I know. I was like, if you're gonna slap a
He
guy,
paid that guy to slap him so
Yeah.
he could be like, oh my
and he
God.
barely slapped him. I'm like,
False
dude.
flag.
First of all, you're not even gonna punch the guy. You're gonna slap the guy, and then you like barely slap him. Because I'm like, either way, if you like start reaching towards the president of a country, all those dudes that are surrounding him are gonna tackle you, like, beat the shit out of you.
I mean, they didn't get there that fast. He's fucking smacked him. But like, it was almost like he pulled the fucking smack. Like,
exactly.
I
Like
swear
maybe there was a part of him going like, "This was a really good idea," and I'm like, "I'm gonna be on video and like make a message." But then he's like, then he looked at like
shit.
all the like giant dudes surrounding him, and with the realization
Or
comes in.
maybe Macron was so cute that he was just like, oh God, no. He got lost in his eyes.
Because apparently what he said is like he was basically calling him macaroni, you know, like with cheese. That's what you do. You just, puns. That's how you disrespect someone. You call them macaroni and cheese, then you try to lightly slap them. In France, that's what we
Yeah,
do.
maybe in France, like a light smack is like actually more of an insult.
Maybe it
Yeah,
was.
right.
I mean, everyone knows about it. I mean, no one.
Maybe he challenged him to a duel.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, he pulled up the glove. But anyway.
So while trying to take that fortress, she ended up taking an arrow between the neck and shoulder.
Nice.
And
Ouch.
and had to be drug off field, in which case everyone saw that and was like, what are we fighting for?
Morale.
Right?
Plummeted.
But
The
Was it like the
stock and
first
morale
thing?
crashed.
Was it like the first thing that happened? Like they had a sniper archer? Just like go for her.
Yeah, there was that one guy. Yeah.
well, she didn't. So she didn't.
Pretty good shot. Oh!
She didn't fight. She didn't have a sword, but she had a banner that she wove around to inspire
she
people.
waved.
So
She wove, dude. Come on.
so they believed
She's
her
a master weaver.
a little bit. Yeah, the
She was
flag
on
did
the
look
field.
really nice.
She was on the field so
You know. But it's like,
Knitting.
so they're like, yeah, we're gonna like do this siege and this attack based on you, but you don't even have a sword. Because there was a part of them was definitely probably like, well, she probably still can't fight, you know.
Right?
There's some guy probably standing on the wall, who's like 7 feet tall, like, it's like, yeah, send her in with the banner.
But anyway, she has a quick surgery and goes straight to the front lines again,
She did herself. That seamstress shit.
What doesn't kill you?
which everyone's like, yay!
Of
And start
course.
fighting harder. And they win the battle.
Yeah, they do.
Then the next
Real
day,
deal.
the English retreat from Orleans and the siege is lifted.
Take a couple sips of tea and they're like, nah, we're not going to deal with this garbage. They're following a little girl. We can't fight against that.
Oh, Loire Valley. That's the prophecy name. Anywho, so the English are gone. The next vision she starts getting is that Charles needs to be crowned at this city called Reims. Ream. I don't know.
She was reamsed in that private meeting.
Nah, she's the real deal, son.
So Charles is like,
Still could have been reamed.
you're proving yourself, so I agree with whatever you want to do now. So they start inching their way towards this city, fighting various battles, including the Battle of Patay, where a bunch of French cavalry wrecked some longbowmen.
Oh, yeah, did they?
Yeah. Wrecked them.
Wrecked. Get
Like with
wrecked, longbowmen.
With like asleep. They're like, shit, here goes a bunch of horses.
And they finally reached the gates of the city on July 16th, 1429. And the next day, Charles is crowned Charles VII of France. And France has a king again.
All thanks to this
Ho, ho.
16-year-old girl.
Yeah. But now that he's king, he sort of has to start playing some more diplomatic routes because the big bad guy is Britain. So he wants to bring the Burgundians back into the fold to sort of oust the British from France altogether.
And they wanted the wine from Burgundy. The true Pinot Noir comes from there.
But Joan's like, no, we should push forward and take Paris now. Charles is like, no, I'm negotiating with people. We're not going to do anything. So she actually takes her own army and attacks Paris.
See, if I've learned anything from watching like basketball or football, like momentum's a real thing. It's like we got to go now. Paris is on its heels. Like we can't get them back in the game.
Well, yeah, I mean the morale's up.
Yeah.
People are jazzed. People are just psyched,
real
man.
thing.
Like she's the real deal.
Yeah,
so
she's the
you
real
know,
deal.
like you just you strike when the iron's hot.
It's like when the Nationals won the World Series. Like no one thought it would come.
You swing when he throws a fastball.
We believe.
But the last thing the voices told her were
Juan Soto of Arc.
the last thing the voices told her were to get Charles coronated. After that, the voices stopped. So the battle, the invasion of Paris, the siege of Paris, was her own idea. It wasn't no divinity told her to do it.
So a 16-year-old girl's idea to invade Paris.
Well,
It doesn't go well.
It's like if Billie Eilish was like leading this army.
Well, I mean, she was the real deal up until this point.
Eventually, you can,
But this is, like any true inspired artist. Eventually, you get up your
sell
own
out.
ass and you just start believing your own bullshit, and then you just start sucking ass. And she followed the same route. Glad to see it's a universal trait.
Good.
They assaulted Paris September 8th of 1429, and didn't go well, as I said. She took a crossbow bolt to the leg.
Ooh.
At least it wasn't in the same place. Shit.
I don't know, man. The leg's probably worse because at
Oh,
least you can walk.
Well, yeah,
if
that's
you get
worse.
shot in the fucking shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, because it was between the shoulder
Now
and
she's
the neck, right?
immobilized.
Yeah, she had to be carried off the field, screaming, continue fighting, and everyone's watching her being drug away. I was like,
Like, this is what happened
Yeah.
last time.
but she didn't come back this time.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is worse.
And they had to retreat.
And they followed this little girl into battle.
Yep.
Took an arrow to the knee.
I mean, it was working up to this point. So whatever.
Be fair,
Right. Now, Charles had worked out a
It
little.
was the real deal.
Charles had worked out a little deal with the British for a truce
Not a real
for a little while, up until March of 1430, when the British invaded Compagnon, and Joan went to that city to help defend it.
In a wheelchair or like whatever they had back then.
Oh, I'm sure she was on horseback.
Like a donkey pulling a wagon.
She ends up.
Is that the cart they had back then?
It's a low budget chariot.
She ends up getting pulled off her horse by a archer.
Oh, wait.
By like an archer pulled her.
Was it like an arrow with like a rope
or he
on it?
shot
He
an
pulls
arrow
her?
and it
No,
took
no,
her
he
off.
just pulled her off while she was riding through. Yeah, and the Burgundians ended up capturing her.
Ooh,
Now she tried to escape
plot twist.
prison or
Captivity.
captivity. Thank you. By jumping off a.
Took her to
Got you, bro.
Leavenworth smack security prison.
She tried to
rock.
jump off a 70-foot tower and landed in a dry moat.
Bet she did. She's like, I don't give a shit about my legs.
What?
Yeah, it was fine. Like she ended up being fine.
She's the real deal. I don't understand.
Dude. Yeah, she had some sort of divine protection if she survived a 70-foot drop.
Well, I mean, how big was this moat?
You said it was a dry moat.
Dry moat.
Oh, so then, like maybe her maybe she didn't even have legs at that point. Like she's just jumping off. It's like nothing can be broken anymore. I feel nothing. Taking arrows like to like my cartilage.
I don't know, man.
So the
Sounds like the
Burgundians,
real deal.
I know. I'm trying to argue against it.
the Burgundians don't know what to do with her, so
I'm gonna
they're
go to
just
church.
moving her around to all of these different, places to keep her captive, and captive
Captive. Put her in a higher tower. Keep her captive up there.
until finally their allies, the British, would be like, "We'll take her.
We're bored.
We don't like this girl at all. She's been quite a thorn on our side. So we'll offer you 10,000 francs, and you just hand her on over,"
Just, hand her on over.
which they do. And then,
10,000 francs for this little girl.
10,000 francs.
and then the British take her to the town of Rouen. And March 31st, 1431, her trial begins, mostly for heresy, and some for cross-dressing, because Deuteronomy 22:5 says men shouldn't dress like women and women shouldn't dress like men.
Yeah.
So They got
Take
her,
that Bible, bitch.
and they had many witnesses of her dressed like a man in battle.
Many witnesses.
Many witnesses.
I swear. I
You should
saw
have been
her.
completely naked.
There's still a little. The council is still a little iffy on her conviction. Because they still have morals. There's a bunch of clergymen
The council.
Yeah. Who's the
leading the
council?
trial. Leading this trial.
I thought there was kings. Did no one have a king?
Oh, the king's in London.
Oh, he can't be bothered with this.
They traveling to dirty ass France for
I mean,
this.
this is the lady that was like
trial.
literally like invading Paris. Maybe like someone could have sent him a raven.
Well, it didn't matter because she started wearing girls' clothes again. They were like, okay, so started to walk back a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, part of her 16-year-old brain was like, maybe I don't want to be executed.
But then they found her one day in her jail cell wearing men's clothing again.
Yeah, does she have a closet?
Her defense.
She get to choose her clothes.
Well, apparently her guards told her you can either wear these clothes or you could be naked. And she did not want to be naked in front of all those men. So she chose that garb, mostly to protect herself from molestation.
Well, obviously.
Yes.
Like, she didn't want to be naked in a 15th century French prison.
You know, some of us are just asking a little too much of this world.
But, so, you know,
That's kind of shitty.
that was strike 2 for the cross-dressing, so that's heresy. And she got...
Strike 3, you're in hell.
She was sent to the stake May 30th,
Yeah, there's no
1431,
strike. There's a strike two.
where she was burned alive. And then
I mean, that's
It's
how you cook a
metal.
steak.
her last words were just screams.
The screams count as words.
Because no one... usually, sometimes when you're burned at the stake, they just kill you to, you know, so you don't feel anything. That was forbidden.
What was the point?
It was just for show.
If you're gonna burn someone at the stake and you kill them, it's just like, oh wow, like actually, like we.
I want to hear the agony.
I guess there's some mercy being shown, dude. Like, I mean, even still, I feel like back then, people screaming and dying and burning. Like the crowd is still probably a little horrified on some level.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, burning at the stake is pretty bad.
And then they checked.
Still, if
they
I'm
checked
gonna
to see
watch
if
someone-
they checked to see if she was dead, and then they burned her 2 more times till she was completely ash, and then they threw her ash into the river.
Jesus Christ, was not with her that day. Not the real deal.
And the British were like, "We're done.
Literally, it's like, let me get this ash off my fingers. Let's go get some wine. Just
We'll never hear about this girl again." No, obviously she went down as a martyr to the French people, and they ended up winning the 100 Years' War.
Oh yeah.
And then actually 30 years later, her conviction was reversed by the Pope.
Put her back together.
Go get those ashes.
Till the river.
And in 1920, she was canonized as a saint.
Saint.
So like
Joan of Arc.
500 years later, someone's just like, eh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty shitty, though.
I mean, it is, you know, religious persecution.
I mean, that has happened.
It's going to get you.
But, yeah, I'm like, what did we learn? Her life was pointless. Nothing. Did she really, like, yeah, because, like, I don't think she, like,
Well-
ended up helping France win.
Well, if Britain would have been allowed to continue taking over France, let's say, you wouldn't have Napoleon. The French wouldn't have been helping us during the American Revolution because they would have been British.
Yeah.
But would they have been, it's like I'm saying, I'm like, did she actively help other than taking, like, this one fort
Dude.
and then getting burned at the
So
stake?
when she was alive, she was
Yeah, people were
the morale she was instilling in the French
And
population.
she was only around for a few years, and then they watched her as they literally burned her body 3 times to ash.
Yeah. And that fired him up. Like, so
Did
now.
that fire?
That fired him up.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. Well, they just like murdered the person that,
Well, that's what I'm
like,
saying.
your
'cause
arch
apparently-
enemy just murdered like the
Well,
person that.
How long after did this happen? Did the 100 Years' War end? Because you said it was in the middle of it.
All right, so I'd assume like 30 to 50 years.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, did she really help? I'm like, I feel like someone else probably. made
Yeah,
some
they
decisions.
remembered it. They probably through all the war, they're just like, remember her, like, you know, going
Did they
charging fields,
Remember that
burning.
16-year-old girl was burned at the stake? Who one time took a 140.
She was 19 when she was burned at the stake.
Yeah, some
Sexy.
time elapsed.
I'm like, oh, I see why the guards were trying to get her to take her clothes.
Ugh. And that was the life of
God.
Joan of Arc.
No God. Not the real deal.
All
Over
right.
here.
All right. So that's the end of the
What
show.
does Ark mean? What is of Ark? Like of like the Noah's Ark?
I think it was a region.
You think?
Yeah.
Her name's Joan of Arc. We haven't even established why she's called Joan of Arc. She's just Joan the crossdresser who was burned at the stake. That's a more accurate name.
Joan, the real deal.
Joan the real deal of Arc.
That's what I call her. All right. So let's get to the shill stuff. This is where we rattle off a bunch of stupid shit at the end of every episode.
Stupid shit.
So just turn it off now but sometimes we have fun. But
Honestly, the best part's the end.
this is the best part of the show.
We know we're
folks.
about to stop.
We all just get excited.
We don't have to do this
Start bringing the heat. All right. Give us 5 stars on iTunes if you think we're worth it. Even if we're not worth it, delude yourself into thinking we're worth it, and then burn us at the stake.
5 steaks.
If
Get 5 steaks to burn us on,
Ribeyes.
and then 5 ribeyes. Exactly.
if you're listening but you like watching stuff, well, we're on YouTube and you can watch us there and judge our appearances and drive us to self-harm and suicide.
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, God.
Follow us on the social media platforms.
Get Jason a therapist.
Yeah, we're starting a Patreon.
Save Jason.
Jason's therapy to pay for it. Follow us on social media platforms, Instagram and Twitter.
I've heard of him.
I talk shit on there, but not all the time because, like, who lives on those fucking things?
Nah, no one does that.
You young kids do.
We post a full episode on IGTV.
Egg.
Word of mouth is the best advertising that we can get. So if you like it, tell people about it, and that would be amazing.
Use your mouth for good.
Yes. Your screams of agony.
For good.
Your screams of agony as you listen to this.
If you listen to this podcast enough, your last words will be,
You can email us at HistoricHole@gmail.com, but please don't, because I don't like talking to people.
you prefer talking to people on Twitter, not email.
I don't talk to anyone. Who do I talk to on Twitter?
Sure
No
you
one
do.
talks
Talks
to me on
at
Twitter.
them.
Yeah, you talk at. Someone's
Yeah.
talked.
Someone's talked. Yes, I'm sure some poor souls have engaged with me on some occasion, but that doesn't justify.
Some people acknowledge my existence.
All right. And so our statement of the week this week is, I'm sure Chet Hanks and Hunter Biden should date. Life is full of holes. Enter wisely.
Au revoir.